if you didn't know it, it's your boy BROSHMO. I hope you guys watch all his videos. He comes out with tons of draft content, man. He's reviewing mock drafts. He's doing his own player rankings. He's doing his own mock drafts. Bro is a legend. Some people say we look alike, bro.
I don't know, man.
I
Hat
know.
and beard.
Some people say we look kind of similar. It's kind of weird.
I mean, I'm a little more unkempt, so.
Right. Well, hey, there's worse guys to be compared to out there than BROSHMO, so I'll take it. So we're not gonna do the usual, when you usually come on. You've come on. This makes 3 years in a row. I think we usually do a little Chiefs-oriented mock draft from your perspective, but I think we're just gonna talk a little draft, talk some players, get some of your thoughts in the mind of Chiefs fans, and kind of answer some of their biggest questions. So the whole premise of today's is 5 Chiefs drafts rumors that I want an outside perspective, because these guys hear us talk about this all the time. I want to either see if you validate our opinions or if you are just right and we're completely wrong, because I'm going to go with what you say over us more than likely. But number one thing, Chiefs Kingdom thinks that left tackle is a very big need because they're not sold on Wanya Morris. And again, we don't know if Wanya Morris is going to be that guy or not. He's young. So that throws out the left tackle, the offensive tackle in general. And this is a deep class for offensive tackle. But Joe Alt's name keeps throwing around because of his ties with the Chiefs. Number one, a lot of people keep saying that the Chiefs should trade up to get Alt. Here's my question. It's a two-parter. Where do you think Joe Alt gets drafted realistically? Do you think he can maybe fall into the mid-first? Because they seem to keep thinking that can happen, and I'm not on board with that. And would you give up your entire draft for seemingly what would be the next 3 years to go get him in the top 10? Like, do you see it that big of a need for the Chiefs?
No.
Right. You think?
I mean, Joe Alt, it's really hard seeing him get past the Titans. I know, like, Rand Carthen's been out there saying, hey, wide receiver, don't sleep on that. We might go there. It's like, you just paid Calvin Ridley. And you released Andre Dillard.
You overpaid that one, didn't you?
A little bit. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it works out. But they released Andre Dillard. So it's like, I'm not saying they've shown us their hand, but it almost feels a bit foolish not to go with Joe Alt at that position. I get it's a deep draft, so maybe they trade back, but I don't see Joe Alt getting out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Which now we're talking about a very expensive move up to go get him. So,
yep.
I don't know about that.
Right. And I mean, a lot of people, it's pipe dream. Every fan base has it. They see guys, they want guy, so early on it was Marvin Harrison Jr. And I guess I'll go with that question because that would be number 2. Wide receiver seems to be a big thing, especially with Rashee Rice. We just had some news drop an hour ago that there is a warrant out for his arrest right now.
Never a good thing.
Right. So it could just be part of the process. Who knows? But wide receiver is an issue because Hollywood Brown, he's here for 1 year. I don't know I personally think he will play himself into a pretty good contract. And if Brett Veach pays it, he's not known to pay wide receivers. So on that same thing, would you mortgage your future to go up and get one of the big 3?
And
presumably, where would you have to go to get the last one?
You're probably looking at the very least number 9.
Chicago. Yeah.
Chicago, or I mean, I feel like Atlanta could be in play to necessarily even take one or just trade out for someone to come up and do it. So 8 and 9 probably looks like the landing spots if you want to get one of those guys. But I mean, this is the thing. It's such a good tackle class. It's such a good offensive line class. Such a good wide receiver class. The Chiefs have been good at they'll go and get their guy, but at a reasonable price. They did that with Trent McDuffie. Saw him falling. They were like, okay, let's make the move from, I think it was like 29 to 21. So I feel like the Chiefs are probably better suited to do something like that. Wait to see how the board shakes up. And then, okay, if there's a guy they really like, then they could go get him at maybe like 20 or hopefully 21 again, because my Dolphins need draft picks. Please.
Hey, that's a good trade up spot. I like the Dolphins trade up there. They've been known to negotiate a little bit. It's pretty.
I just want to be able to talk more than 4 picks a year with my Dolphins.
Right, man. And then it always seems to be like the unsexy guys, like the linemen, like the guard center combination. That always tends
we
to
need
be
those.
Yeah, you need them. I'm a big Mason McCormick guy.
I love.
A lot
Mason
of people
McCormick.
are saying Graham Barton could be a nice first round pick, which I would be fine with that too if I were a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, I like either. I mean, Mason McCormick's probably more, day two, but
Yeah.
golly. Yeah, Graham Barton was someone who I had just like on the outside of my first round. And
Uh-huh.
it's just like every time I did a mock, he's just like inching up and up and up. It's like, oh, this be a good pick for like the Bucks. Oh, this be a good pick for the Cowboys. Oh, I'm now at the Dolphins. I was like, honestly, I don't mind it. And he's someone that's just kept creeping up my board. He tested out well. He's played really good at left tackle. Won't be doing that in the NFL, but
Right.
it's nice that he has that positional versatility too.
So this kind of goes back to exactly what you said. It's perfect segue. A lot of guys in Chiefs Kingdom that like the offensive tackle, they think that the first 5 to 6, and we'll put, I think like the all Fatanu, Fuanga, Oli, Latham, Guyton, Mims. I think that's pretty much everybody's top 7 in some order. Uh, Jordan Morgan is one that people keep talking about, late first, early second. And I myself am not sold on Jordan Morgan at 311 pounds and 32 and 7/8 inch arms. And the reason I say that is because the short arm, 32 and 7/8. Graham Barton has the exact same length arms, and everybody's already just kicked him down the center and guard because he can't do it. So what is it that makes Jordan Morgan, in your opinion, still be considered a left tackle and a first round left tackle?
He combines good movement skills with power. You see good power in his frame. Barton's got good power in it himself, man. I mean, I think they just see positional versatility. A guy that's came in, recruited as a guard, played center his freshman season, then moved to left tackle, and they're like, okay, he's just got positional versatility. While Morgan's been a guy essentially last 3 years has been playing
Right.
tackle exclusively. I think now a lot of the at least now analysts and people part of the draft community are starting to like turn on Jordan Morgan more so being a guard. I kind of like point to like Matthew Bergeron was kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. Everyone kind of viewed him as a tackle, and then Atlanta took him like early to mid second, and immediately were like, "Nah, this is our guard." I
Right.
think the same thing is going to happen to Morgan. He's going to be a guard from day one.
Yeah, I've kind of been on the Jordan Morgan as a guard. I've not even really considered him into the Chiefs left tackle conversation. I haven't done it. I've kept him in the tackle. I've kept him on my tackle rankings, but he has fell to like he's number 10. I've actually got Roger Rosengarten ahead of him on the right side because I think he's going to be a heck of a guard tackle on the right side. He's very athletic. And we're kind of big on Kingsley Suamataia here. A lot of
Yeah.
people are starting to catch on to that. We actually put them out in our first Chiefs mock draft, and nobody had a clue who this guy was. This was like 3 weeks ago. And
What?
he's been a big name lately coming up within Chiefs circles. So, yeah, I think we got Andy here actually, and he's got some BYU ties. So we just thought that maybe that was a good thing, and then it's kind of caught some traction. But where do you think the offensive tackle? It's a good class. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's very top heavy. After like 10 or 11, I don't know if you're finding a guy unless you just a perfect dart that's going to
Yeah.
be a big time contributor. Where do you think it falls off for you? Like, who's the last guy you think that the Chiefs? I don't know how to explain the question. The last guy that you think that could come in and contribute as a starter left tackle, and where do you think he would go? Like what pick?
Oh, man, probably if we're talking immediately,
And
I
more than
guess.
likely left tackle because we do have the right tackle locked up
Oh,
before
yeah,
everything
yeah,
else.
I got that locked up. Probably Guyton would probably be that next guy. He did play left tackle in 2022.
Yeah.
And I mean that's another guy who after the Senior Bowl, where's he gonna go? Is he gonna be in the top 20? Is he gonna be in the back end of that first round? He's going
Right.
first round
He's still a
regardless.
project though, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much so. But I mean, with tools like that, like you could almost throw them out there and be like, hey, just try to get by on your tools for now.
right.
Like Chicago did that with Braxton Jones. Thus far, it's worked out pretty all right.
Right.
But Kingsley Sumate is interesting. I don't think I love him as a first rounder right now, just because he's so raw, like from hands to footwork. But like, golly, the tools are immense with him. Where it's
Right.
length,
He
size, just
I mean, I'm sure you know this. He's cousins with Panay Sewell.
yeah.
He tested better than Panay Sewell. Is he a better player than Panay Sewell? No, not by any means.
No.
But I think his limitation, I mean, he tests pretty well across the board. I think he's in like the good to great category in 40-10. His vert was a little sus, but I mean, the dude's 308 pounds or whatever it is. No,
Yeah.
326. Big old hands. He's got 11-inch hands. That's huge, basically. 10 and 5/8, I think what the official was. But I think he's got enough
Close
tools.
enough.
For me, the zone run blocking is where I think he separates himself. Like, I think he could be one of the better things for what the Chiefs like to do, because we like to do a lot of zone outside runs and different things. So he's got that movement skill. After him, I think I've got Jordan Morgan and Patrick Paul would be my next two. And again, you've already heard I don't really like Morgan at tackle. Patrick
Yep.
Paul, what do you think about Patrick Paul? That's a name that people are throwing around that could maybe get into the first round as well. I don't think I'm sold there yet.
Yeah, I'm not there yet because then now this is like now the part after like probably like Morgan, who again probably ends up being a
Yeah.
guard. You're looking at either like developmental projects. You're looking at maybe guys that could be high end backups with starting potential that just have a ton of experience to them. So like Patrick Paul is one of these developmental guys. Great length, just great size, moves really well for his size. Actually has a good anchor, but the just as a technician, he's everywhere. Wide hands, just doesn't protect the chest. Might not necessarily consistently have that like NFL nasty in the run game, though I think he's capable of it. Footwork, despite being like a good athlete, his footwork could be a bit heavy footed, and that doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean it can that can't change, but that's just what it is right now. And this is a guy that's almost basically has had 4 years of starting experience. He had a
Right.
season-ending injury in 2020, so this is a guy that's played a lot of football, and maybe it's just Houston's coaching staff not being able to coach him up technically.
Yeah, we'll blame the Houston coaching staff. That's a pretty good one. So we've talked tackle. We've talked a little bit wide receiver, but wide receiver is the big one. Are there any what's your thoughts on the mid? Because there's the top three. And I mean, I'm sure Neighbors, Odunze kind of go, and maybe even a few boards. I'm sure on the Chiefs boards, Neighbors probably ranked higher than Marvin Harrison for what he does and how
I
we
could see
operate.
it. They're
So
very different. So yeah.
right. So I think, but there's that three. In the next tier, I think it's pretty common that Brian Thomas is usually 4. Has Xavier Worthy after the 4-2-1? Do you think he's knocking on the door of that 4th, or do you still think, because my evaluation of Xavier Worthy is I love him, but his size does make him limited, and he does fit into a place like the Chiefs. I do understand that, but it's been this monumental run of everybody mocking him to the Chiefs ever since the combine. It gets so crazy annoying. Like, I'm like, who are we looking at today on the mock? And every time, Xavier Worthy, and I'm like, daggone, didn't know that was coming. But yeah, do you think him, A.D. Mitchell, which one would you consider if, say, they fell to 21, 22, which is about all their ranges? Any
Yeah.
of those you would trade it for the Chiefs that you would just say, hey, I got to have them, or is any of them, not special enough? They either fall or they don't.
I don't know. If like a Brian Thomas makes it to the Chiefs, I would run that up, be like, hey, let's get this done.
I love Brian Thomas, man.
Yeah. Adonai Mitchell's interesting because I just feel like the Chiefs aren't going to go with another undersized speedster. They just brought in Hollywood Brown, There's
Right.
your undersized speedster.
But only for 1 year. So do you think
Only
maybe they get
1
a
year,
guy
I
on the
get
wings,
it,
maybe?
but hey, listen, he's on my dynasty team, so I'm really hoping he signs maybe a big contract next year. Not necessarily big, a long contract.
Right. Me too. At
I
least
really-
a 3 year or something.
Yeah, I would love him to stay there with Patrick Mahomes, but I think Adonai Mitchell gives him a really good route runner that can stretch the field vertically. That would be an interesting thought. Maybe if you're looking for like the yak ability. I mean, there's a ton of guys that actually could fill that role. Maybe. Oh man. See, this is the beautiful thing, dude. The back end of that first round.
Right.
Like, the world is your oyster. Go shuck it. You could shuck it in a variety of different manners because that's what this draft is. It's variety. Like,
hey, if anybody shucks themselves on wide receivers, it's Brett Veach. I mean, he'll get lucky every once in a while, and then they have trouble with the law the next offseason. Yeah. So would you not, if you were the Chiefs GM, the wide receiver is so deep, you're probably not coming up for anybody except maybe Brian Thomas?
Yeah, that'd probably be my one exception. Then I'd be like, whoever makes it.
And how far would you go? Would you go up to 15? Would you go up to 20? Would you go up to 23? I presumably think you have to jump Buffalo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to jump Buffalo. And the beautiful thing about doing business with Miami is they're probably not doing business with Buffalo.
That's true.
So I mean, Steelers could be an option if you really want to get up. Like, Uh, I feel like the turn point is like the Jaguars and the Bengals. What do they do? Where do they end up going? Because I think those are viable options for
Right.
Brian Thomas. And if he gets past those two, then it's like, okay, Rams at 19, Dolphins at 20, Steelers at 20, Dolphins at 21. I'd be talking to those two teams to move up for Brian Thomas.
Right. A lot of people like Brian Thomas, but I do think he's settling somewhere around that 15 to 23, 24 mark. But I did see Mel Kiper Jr. had him all the way down in his latest mock, all the way down to, I believe, Buffalo at 27. I don't
28,
remember.
I think.
28. Okay. Flapjack's been a member for 1 month. He says, I see some bootios. Yeah, that's one of the best parts of watching bro.
Oh yeah.
He also
They
sends
help you not be
$5.
booty.
Yeah. Yeah. He also sends $5. Thanks for the 5 bomb. He says, acknowledge me. You wanted me to say bootios. He also told me I had to say Anus Smith out of Texas A&M. That's the new nickname he's drew over here. So we've talked a little wide receiver. We've talked a little tackle. Corner is a big thing. And I know I've seen a lot of people outside of Chiefs Kingdom, and I'm just going to ask you this. Who do you think our corner 2 is in Kansas City, not being like a huge Chiefs fan, like just from an outside perspective?
So are we considering McDuffie the one?
Yeah, I guess McDuffie gets the one.
It's Jalen Watson, right? Y'all love that guy.
A lot of people think so, but we tend to think it's Josh Williams. Josh
Really?
Williams, yes. Josh Williams is a lot more. He's raw. Don't get me wrong, but he's got so many good intangibles that we think he could possibly be the next like in line to be like that Charvarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed. So I just thought it was weird that people outside think that we definitely. I've seen people mocking us a first round lock now, corner, and I don't think we're there yet with the Chiefs, and I think that's going to surprise some teams.
Yeah, after they moved Sneed, I figure it's because they really liked Williams, because I know he's been doing really good work on their special teams.
Jalen Watson's been awesome, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
I was just going to say that was a pretty good draft for Veach on the back end.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Williams, he brings the speed and the length, too, so, like, I don't doubt it.
Right. It's just fun hearing different perspectives, because I was like, people outside Chiefs Kingdom don't really give Josh Williams a lot of credit. I think some of his PFF scores during the playoffs was astronomical. It was insane. When he was on the field, he was there. But yeah, so we're under the impression that we think we're good. We don't think we'll go early corner. But like you said, we didn't really think we'd go super early. But when Trent McDuffie fell down the board, they went up and got that too. So I think everybody's got their guys, and if they fall and they're comfortable, they'll do it depending on the position. But that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Let's have some fun here. Who do you think, like, give me 2 that you think are the biggest boom bust prospects in this entire draft? It can be any round.
Any round. Well, typically going for boom bust, you want to stick with the first.
Okay.
JC Latham, probably first one comes to mind.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge, but he don't play it. It's like that whole look like Tarzan, play like Jane. As like a run blocker, just you don't see the, hey, you're this big physical monster, impose your physical will. He just doesn't have that. He's actually a better pass protector than he is run blocker.
Right.
But it's gonna be interesting to see I think I've seen some NFL teams view him more as a guard. So it'll be a little bit interesting with that. I know I went into this, my comp for him might be just because they were the same college, but Evan Neal. And I loved Neal coming out, man.
Boom bust, right? He's more on the bust side right now.
Yeah. It's these guys that just overextend and they can't stay on their feet. So
right.
He's
I
definitely
understand the Latham thing, though, because you watch him and you want to love him, but then there'll just be those reps where it's just like you just got blown up. Like,
yeah,
it's so strange.
I mean, to be fair, in any other tackle class, he's probably like tackle 3.
Yeah. Mel Kiper's big on him. He thinks he could possibly be one of the first few taken off the board. I still think he's a mid-round guy. I'm not sure where you would have him in your positional rankings, like when it comes to offensive tackle or interior. I think I've got him on the offensive tackle for sure. I don't think they're going to move him down, but I've got him like 5, I think.
Yeah, he's my OT6.
Right. So you probably got him somewhere around Guyton, Mims, Ole, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. It's actually Guyton, Latham, then Fuanga.
Okay. So you got so let's talk about Fuanga for a little bit. Andy Reid and him spoke to him at the combine, so his name's kind of come out. I think he's definitely just a right tackle, which again, it's the arm length, and you watch him, and there is a lot to be desired when it comes to pass protection. He's a heck of a run blocker, a lot to be desired in pass protection. But I feel like even with like Troy Fautano, everybody said he can't play tackle. He's got 34-inch arms. He's played left tackle for years. Like, why is he that? You know, he can't do it, but Fuanga is a definite lock to play tackle. It doesn't make sense. To me, Fuanga looks more like the guard.
Yeah, that's I'm starting to fall. I'm starting to fall there too, where it's like because you look at him pass protection, it's like he's fine. He can move well. It's just he definitely looks like more of a short strider. So you don't know
Yes.
how well that like kick slide will work in more of
Yeah.
these open offenses. So it's like, oh, you can mitigate that by just putting him at guard.
Yep. Night and day difference in the footwork between him and Fatanu.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
he's
And
beautiful. It
play
looks,
strength actually,
yeah.
like Fuanga's play strength's out of this world.
Uh, yeah. Fatanu though, I think he's my favorite. I comped him. I want to get I want to get your evaluation of my comp. I think it might be a little bit ridiculous, but nobody comps first round picks to crappy players. You just don't do it. That's not sexy, right? You don't want to comp Troy Fatanu to like some bust somewhere. That's not going to get it. But everything I see, and let me bring this up for you. Everything, just watching him play sometimes and his movement, and then I started looking in, and the scores on RAS are almost just identical. Almost everything but his height, just because he is a little smaller guy for sure. Let me see if I can bring this up really quickly. But I was just like, man, this is going to be a decent comp in my opinion, but people are going to think it is absolutely insane. And I can't find it. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you until I find it, we'll just go with it this way. I comped him to Trent Williams. I see a little Trent Williams.
Golly.
This is why footwork and the athleticism are just on par. And when I check the RAS scores, they're right there. And if I'm not mistaken, he's higher on the RAS charts. The only thing separating them is, Trent Williams is Trent Williams,
That's
right?
right.
But you don't comp people to horrible people though, right?
I try to shoot for my comps as mid range as possible.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy with the here's Peyton Manning.
I
No,
will say, man, I'll look through some of your comps and they are very good. Like you don't tend
they're
to,
not
you don't
terrible, right?
overshoot it, and that's what I
I
respect about it.
like I said, I don't want to be that guy. Like I went I went I went above and beyond last year with Bijan. I said, hey, LT. And that's about as outlandish as I'll ever get with comps.
Nice. Okay, well, I cannot find the RAS thing that I had, but I had the RASs pulled up. It was pretty spot on. But yeah, that's a bit overshooting it. But I will say, that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. I did actually comp Troy Franklin to one 1999 Ohio State wide receiver Kenyon Rambo,
What?
who, by the way, when you watch his film, they play identical. It's just a lot of blown coverages led to a lot of touchdowns. Not so much. I think the receiver's that great. Are you big on Troy Franklin?
I think he's fine. It would have been better if it's so wild this year. Like he got much better as a route runner, right? But like the thing that really drew you to him were those ball skills in 2022. And then this year the ball skills were just worse. Like more drops. And it's not
Right.
like he was seeing more volume or anything, but even the contested catches, so it's kind of hard. It's like, okay, well, do I think it's just like an off year when it comes to the ball skills? Because it's not like the production went down. He was still a very, very productive receiver,
Right.
still was creating after the catch, was a much better route runner. Like he really understands how to work leverage and whatnot. So it's kind of that thing where it's like, okay, do you think like maybe just this year the ball skills just weren't that good? He'll bounce back. It's fine. But also, a lot of people were turned off by the gauntlet drill at the combine, where he was just
Yes.
kind of zigging and zagging.
Boy, was
And
that not one of the worst you've ever like? That was night and day difference to Keon Coleman.
yeah,
Insane.
it's wild. It's wild.
Insane. Yeah, Troy Franklin, dude, I was down on him. The combine didn't have his official 10-yard split number up, and for the longest time they had him running a 10-yard split in like 161 or something. And so without it being super official, I was like, that cannot be right. But that really like irked me that was the lowest by far at the combine, like the slowest. I was like, that's like paint drying. And when you
Right.
compare that with a 10% drop rate, that's like the fourth lowest out of the whole class. Like there's only like Jamari Thrash is above him. It's crazy. Javon
Mhm.
Baker is above him, barely. The Chiefs have spoken to Javon Baker recently. Apparently,
Baker's
we like
nice.
wide receivers that drop balls. That's what we like to do.
Uh,
You would
he,
think
he
we'd have got out of that, don't you?
he was in a lot more contested catch situations, though. I will say that.
That's true. Chris Wright with a 5 bomb. He says, if we stay at 32, Xavier Leggett or Troy Franklin. Oh, there's Troy Franklin. We can't afford to Skyy Moore this draft. BROSHMO, what's your thoughts on Skyy Moore? That is a very
Broke my
polarizing
heart.
pick in Chiefs Kingdom. Like, Chiefs Kingdom's already ready to call him a bust after 2 years, even though he come out of Central Michigan. The Chiefs really do not use him in the way he was drafted. Like, what was he drafted? What coming out, if you remember, which I'm sure you probably do, what was his strengths coming out
He
of
was a
college?
yak king.
And how did they do it? They got him the ball in space, and he went and got yards.
Yeah, he was essentially running 3 routes for
Right.
that offense.
Exactly. With the Chiefs, they put him on the boundary. They put him here. They put him there. They're making him run these crazy routes. And in certain games, they'll get him the ball quick, and there it goes. He looks fine. But Chiefs Kingdom's giving up on him, man. They're ready to call him a bust. They want him out of here after 2 years. They think he could get cut this offseason. I think under rookie contract, that's insane.
I don't get why they just don't give him the Kadarius Toney role.
We ask those questions a lot. Andy Reid's receivers, he likes to, you have to do every role, and he asks you to do a lot. You know what I mean? Like, he just don't let a guy be a slot. And I think if they would just let Skyy Moore work the slot row, he'd be fine. But if they're going to force him on the boundary a lot and play 60% of snaps out there, it's going to be a failure. But again, isn't that a drafting mistake? Like, if you know you got to do that, why do you draft Skyy Moore?
Yeah, I don't. It's see that's such the toughest thing because like people like when you look at bus and whatnot, it's like you gotta really look at like okay situation. What were they being asked to do early? Like, I mean, you can go back to like a Geno Smith where it's like that dude wasn't gonna succeed with the Jets. It took him a whole 10 years before he became what he is now.
Yeah.
You know, it took that right spot, that right opportunity. And honestly, for some of these guys, it just ends up not being the right spot. Shoot, like Arthur Smith has literally killed Kyle Pitts' career thus far.
Yeah. I mean, he's not been used properly, that's for sure. Do you think if you had to comp Skyy Moore to anybody in this class, would you think it's fair to say that he's kind of like Malachi Corley is kind of like his?
Well, that was the first name I was thinking of, Malachi Corley.
So a lot of people like Malachi Corley here, and we keep trying to tell them like, hey, if you're not going to use Skyy Moore that way, and you're not going to use Corley that way, they may be the same kind of bust situation, if you want to call it bust.
Honestly, if they get Malachi Corley, they should use him like McKinnon. That's how they should use him.
Right, out of the backfield on third down. That'd be
exactly.
Sweet. Thanks for the 5-bomb, Chris. Thanks for the 5-bomb, Flapjack. Yogi with 5 gifted. Yogi, appreciate you, brother, man. 5 gifted, that's awesome. Everybody shout out Yogi. Put some ketchups in the chat for Yogi. We're throwing out some ketchups over here, bro, Shmo. Patrick Mahomes puts ketchup on everything, so we're throwing it on everybody out here. A few more draft questions, and we'll let you get out of here. I know we had some mix up with the Central Time, Standard Time, Mountain Time. I keep forgetting you're from Arizona, bro.
I know my time doesn't change, so I gotta keep track of wherever, like where everyone
I think
else's
that's the
time
thing,
is.
right? It's crazy. Okay, so we talked about some boom bust. Do you have any kind of crazy bold predictions? Like, say, somebody slips way out of the first round. Somebody comes way into the first round. I think Mel Kiper put Roger Rosengarten in the first round, which I know I called that coming up pretty soon.
I feel like that's bold, but it's not out of like the wheel. Like if you're gonna see like, just think about like the last few drafts where like, oh, I can't believe this guy snuck in the first round. They're always offensive linemen like Cole Strange, Alex Leatherwood. It's always an offensive lineman.
Yeah, it always is. But I like Rosengarten. I think he's no worse than a mid day 2.
I like him. Yeah, no, he's definitely
day 2, but he's definitely in day 2.
Just like you get in that first round, it's like feels rich.
I was being told that this guy was a 4th round pick at best. Who was another guy I was told was definitely Ben Sinnott. You might not be as big on Ben Sinnott, but
he's my tight end too.
He's my tight end too. I just moved him over to Jatavion Sanders. Now I'm not as low on Jatavion. I think I heard you the other day say you moved him out of your top 100.
I did.
I didn't get that low, but I moved him down into like the 70, 80-ish range because I still believe you've spoken on this just a few minutes ago. If you put him in the right situation, like if you're just asking him to go get some yardage in the middle of the field and use his speed, he might be fine for you. If you're asking him to do straight up tight end stuff, you might be in trouble there a little bit.
Yeah. He's the guy that just needs to get that power profile up, man.
Right. Where do you think Ben Sinnott goes in this draft? I've been told that I'm crazy to think that he's anything better than a late round 3, early round 4, and I think he's going to get into round 2 when it's all said and done.
I would love that. I don't buy it though. I feel like he's not. I feel like he's gonna maybe be early day 3. I mean,
So
I
round
would
3.
take I
think
would
round
take
3?
him in like the midday 2, third round area, but I bet you, man, because the NFL, like wherever I view tight ends in the NFL, where they're
It's
at tight
different.
ends, it's so different. Last year you had your uh freaking Brenton Strange, the Jags
Yeah.
going in the second round. Luke Schoonmaker, second round to the Cowboys. How are those guys doing, by the way? Nothing. But
Nothing.
the NFL is just so weird with tight ends. I mean, obviously last year was actually a really good tight end class. So because everybody was just trying to take their shot on a few, just some of
Yep.
them missed. But man, I feel like they're going to be much higher on like a Theo Johnson who has a lot of inline work and has just insane tools.
So you think the NFL in general or just the Chiefs?
And NFL in general. I think
Okay.
Senate, man, I hope he goes to the third. Like, because the dude's a really good blocker. He's a much smoother route runner than you'd expect. And he attacks the football. I mean, he's now got
Right.
2 really good years of production. To him, he's a guy that played everywhere for Kansas State, whether it was out wide in the slot, he'd line up in the backfield sometimes. Dude's so good.
Oh,
Just don't
yeah, to
believe
your
the
point.
NFL believes it.
To your point, Ben Sinnott at K-State, he's run 214 snaps in the backfield, 1,100 in line, 338 in the slot, and 33 out wide. So he will play everywhere. 96th
Play everywhere.
percentile on the 3-cone, 97th percentile on the vert. Like, it's insane. I think his athleticism shows. He played like 6 sports growing up. I think everything shows. He looks like a natural athlete. To me, I just feel like there could be a team that really likes him and reaches in the second. I don't know. I'm crazy.
I would love that. It's just, man, with this draft being like so deep on
Right.
offensive
You're going to get
line
good
and
players in the
wide
fall. Where do you think the
receiver,
first running back comes off the board?
I think we'll see one in the top 50.
Okay, so mid-second, somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in the mid-second. It's kind of hard to believe one will fall out of that range. Not to say it's unprecedented. It happened a
Right.
couple of years ago, but like I don't know. It blows my mind that some people. I don't get how people have not Trey Benson number 1. To me, that it's not making sense in my head. I love Trey. It might be just, I got these rose tinted glasses, but
Right.
like Trey
So
Benson just
I
seems like he
don't
has
have
it
Trey
all.
Benson at number 1, so I'm a perfect guy to talk to.
Perfect.
I actually have Jonathan Brooks at number 1. I felt like if he wouldn't
That's
have been
fair.
injured at the end of the year, I feel like, because I feel like the torn ACL is the big issue with him. I actually got Jalen Wright. I bumped him above Trey Benson. The only reason I did that is because I think the speed and the way they could use him, specifically teams that kind of like the Chiefs, like you need a McKinnon type guy. Like this guy will run. He's pretty good size at 5'10 and a half,
Yeah.
210. He run a 4.38. He's got a good vert, everything. Like to me, he shows a lot of boom bust potential, but I think he's more along the boom, and I think he's the best pass blocker and pass protection back there by far. And,
Yeah.
and with me, Benson just didn't get enough reps to catch the ball. Not saying he couldn't do it, because I think he
Oh
could.
no, yeah, dude, that Florida State offense was just screens. And they played such a rotation. Like he didn't even really get like a full
Right.
workload.
And I felt like Benson too. His angry runs, they just dropped off this year. If you go back and watch 2022, he was running people over and kind of like making some noise.
Yeah.
And this time he just I don't know. But Benson was my number 1 going into it, and then like he just slowly fell a little bit. But I'm with you. Trey Benson's good.
I mean,
I made
his 2022 is definitely way better
dude,
than
2022
his
is nice. He's definitely number 1 at 2022. Let's just knock the 2023 film off, and we're good to go.
Exactly.
I thought that maybe it could be early 3rd round before you see a running back come off the board, considering all that crazy free agency we just seen.
I don't think it's out of
But
the realm of possibility.
Right, but I'm with you. I think Dallas somewhere in round 2 starts looking. Few more questions, man. I'll get you out here.
Oh, you're good, dude.
You got any sleepers? You got any sleepers you want to talk about?
You want a guy that probably won't get drafted, but I love.
Go for it, man.
All right, so I really love the center out of Louisville, Byron Hudson,
Okay.
who I guarantee you, no one's really talking about him as a draftable prospect, and
You're
I
not going
get
to comp
why.
him to Eric Wood, though, right? The
No,
only other
dude, no.
center to come out of
Dude,
Louisville.
I couldn't freaking. So that's my like JPJ comp.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I was like, I can't think of anyone else, dude, that just played with that nasty, and it's
Right.
like at that size. I really have a tough time with comps, and by the end of it, I'm never satisfied with them either.
Dude, for real. I come up with some wild stuff. I just told you I comped Troy Franklin to Kenyon Rambo from 1999. If that tells you anything. Any other wild sleepers that could? What about a sleeper from like a position the Chiefs may need? More like a
Right.
wide receiver sleeper. Maybe somebody we could look at with one of our 2 fifth-round picks.
Or your 2 5th-round picks. If you're looking for
I
a
think that's too
big,
late for the Chiefs to wait for a wide receiver, right? Maybe we double one up right there.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's some good talent later on. Like Bub Means out of Pittsburgh he's
Love Bo
big,
Means.
he's fast. If you're not confident that Justin Ross can get healthy, I know the Chiefs have been waiting for him to get healthy
Yeah.
for a long time and play. Well, there's your big vertical threat. I think that's a nasty player there. Ryan Flournoy is really fun. You can play outside, play in the slot. Just quick, fluid athlete that's shown good hands, good after the catch ability out of what was it, Southeastern Missouri. Had a really good
That's wild,
Senior
man.
Bowl.
You pulled out Southeastern Missouri, man. It's pretty close to the Chiefs. Yeah, I like you pulling that
Yeah,
comp
I don't know.
or
Check if he's
that
got a
player,
top
man.
30.
I like it, dude. Those are good ones. We've talked to Javon Baker. I told you that one. That is the only wide receiver the Chiefs have
I
brought
really
on a
like
top 30.
Baker.
Is that weird?
Should be with, the questions at wide receiver right now.
Right. Well, we have spoken to. I want to say at the Shrine Bowl, we talked to Jalen Coker out of Holy Cross.
Okay.
And
He was
then-
nice.
Right. And then we've met formally with Xavier Worthy. So, I mean, that just goes right into that whole hype. But
You almost had to, right?
right. We formally met with Troy Franklin, and we've talked with Ladd McConkey and Brian Thomas Jr. both. So we've talked to a few. The Brian Thomas seems like maybe, they felt that he could slip. Maybe that is a conversation. Like, hey, let's talk to him just in case we want to get up to the 20s and get him.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how that works.
How teams will have these wide receivers ranked, it's going to be all over the place.
Dude, what would
It's
you
going to be
give?
nuts.
How much money would you give to sit in a Miami Dolphins draft war room? For me, it would be the Chiefs. Listen to them operate, watch their board, and just see how they do it. Like, would that not be just the greatest thing? That would be like my Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. It'd be fun for all 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah. You have to get a year where they haven't traded all your picks out, bro.
Oh, man, dude. I would love to hear just the nonsense. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Mike McDaniel, he's reeled it in a little bit because Greer could be nuts, man.
Dude,
He's
me
a
and
nutty
Steve over
GM.
here love Mike McDaniel. Like, his humor is just hilarious, and some people just don't
Oh,
get it.
he's
a
great.
gem. Dude, I love that dude. If Andy Reid was to retire, I hope they throw him the bag and he leaves Miami. He comes
I
over here.
mean,
It would be wild, dude.
uh,
Do you have
maybe.
any who's some my guys you have? Like, who's a BROSHMO my guy?
The BROSHMO, my guy.
I think Mason McCormick would be on that list.
Yeah,
for
Mason
sure.
McCormick, Trey Benson's kind of my guy. I like
Okay.
Jared Verse quite a bit. Let's see.
Do you think Jared Verse is going to be able to be a double-digit sack guy in the league?
I think he can. I think he's probably the most complete
Okay.
edge player. Like,
You think he'll be better or worse than George Karlaftis and how he's developed?
I think the upside's better.
Okay.
He's a better athlete.
I give you that.
Yeah, he's got
He's
better
faster.
tools.
I think
better
he can close
length.
a little better. His hip tightness kind of worried me a little bit, but I
Yeah.
don't think it would throw me no later than like late teens.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd be still spending to get him. Like, honestly, he probably got honestly like the best coaching of his life once he arrived at Florida State. He was at Albany the first
Right.
2 years, so can't imagine it was that good.
Right. I've actually seen some mocks putting him at the Dolphins, man. So now I know that you would love him. I think I mocked
I
him to the
mean,
Dolphins.
I
one
don't.
time.
I firmly want the Dolphins to stick to the trenches, dude.
Okay.
Our offensive line is trash. We don't really have a lot of good players there on the interior of the defensive line outside of like Zach Sealer, however the hell you say his name. And I mean,
Right.
our edge room's fine enough. Like, we might not have Bradley Chubb till like November, but I think Phillips will be good to go by the season start. We brought in Shaq Barrett
Barrett.
from Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the twilight years, but he's a good rotation player.
Right, right.
But
Yeah, man. So my guys, you like Jared Verse. So you like the Florida State guys. You're
I
not a
don't.
Florida
Yeah, and
State
I'm a
fan though,
Hurricanes
right?
fan. It's a little
I was gonna
weird.
say you remind me. What do you think about Leonard Taylor, man? Has that guy had just a disappointing kind of like last season draft process? Like I thought he was
I'm
gonna be a top 5, and I just couldn't get him in there.
I'm holding on to like once he gets to an NFL team, they can unlock him. Like the testing wasn't nearly what I thought it would be.
Right.
How Miami used him, like, dude, screw Mario Cristobal. I've been one to fire that cat for so long, man. As a Hurricanes fan, just to go from like mid to even more mid, it
Yeah.
just hurts my heart.
Hey, he's got elite arm length. He's got that going for him.
He does, man.
Almost 34-inch arms, man.
The
Not too bad.
dude can forklift guys. I mean, and he was kind of asked to because they could put him in the stinking A gap, and it's like he's probably at his best as like a 3 tech penetrator, but
Yeah. Darius Robinson, man. The Chiefs have talked to him. A lot of people are saying if he gets there at 32, we could look that way because we drafted Felix Anudike-Uzomah last year, and he really did not see the field very much. He did early during the Charles Omenihu suspension, but, dude, the later and later it got, he did have to come out and play in the Super Bowl a little bit, and he'd done a decent job. But outside of him, they just signed back Mike Dana, which is a fine rotational piece. He's going to give you 5 to 10 sacks, but he's not like that elite. I think in the NFL, like, you want 2 elite guys. And I argue with Steve a lot, too. I don't really think George Karlaftis is the elite of the elite. He's in the upper echelon, but I
yeah,
wouldn't
he's
call
like
him
fine.
elite.
Yeah.
But we argue with that one. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of George fans here. But Darius Robinson, man, did you see his pro day? Because I heard that scouts were saying it would be a crime if he fell out of round 1 now because of that pro day.
Yeah, I didn't catch the pro day, just the I
numbers
just
and
typically get the numbers and stuff, see who are in attendance.
yeah,
But I mean, dude, his Senior Bowl was
dude,
freaking nutty.
unguardable. I was watching stuff of him just throwing around. I think I seen one where he lined up on Tyler Guyton and just threw him, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what? It's crazy. Darius Robinson though, I like Darius Robinson. I think he is kind of limited though, in my opinion. Who would you give a comp for Darius Robinson?
oh, well, my current comp is Zach Allen of the
Zach
current Denver
Allen.
Broncos, right?
Okay. You can't bring Denver Broncos comps to the Chiefs. Can't
I'm
do it.
sorry. Sorry, I told you my comps are pretty mid, so
What do you think about Marshawn Nealon?
I love Marshawn Nealon.
Okay.
That's my guy in this class. Like,
Oh, sweet.
he is just stupid powerful. Like, he honestly last year he could have went to a Power 5 school. Like, I think he was had his foot out the door and was gonna go with Dion to Colorado until I assume Western Michigan just gave him the bag or something. He decided to stay. But the dude is so strong. I think he's more well put together than people think. Like, his hand placement, it could be better, but like he does a good job with his power moves. And while I wouldn't say he's got like the deep arsenal of pass rush moves, like for what he has, he does a good job of branching off from those. So like having secondary moves that follow up or hand counters, like he knows what he's doing. He's a guy that could probably kick inside on passing downs as well.
He kind of, to me, like it's not perfect, but he does kind of remind me of like another George Karlaftis type, just like a relentless effort kind of guy, right?
Yeah, I think he's
Maybe
working
not the
with
best moves, but
yeah, he's probably working with a little bit better tools, but like Karlaftis had that grittiness. Like that dude didn't just play to the whistle, he played through it. It was kind of different in that regard.
Love George Karlaftis, man. A few more, I'll let you out here, my boy.
Oh,
Jump off here too. Who's this year's Puka Nakua, the wide receiver that could be?
I hate that question.
I knew you would. I named mine. You can just agree with me. You don't have to name a name unless it's just.
I'll think about it.
Okay. I honestly, I said weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and he's kind of caught steam. He's now like probably a top 50 guy. Ricky Pearsall early in the draft.
I freaking love Ricky Pearsall.
I love him. He's my favorite wide receiver in this entire draft. I think it's way too early. The Chiefs take him at 32. Maybe I get lucky and we trade back to like 35, 37, and somebody wants to come up and get a quarterback like Penix or something. Uh, but I love Ricky Pearsall, man. That's who I think could be this year's Puka Nacua if he lands in the right spot.
Yeah,
Who do you
no.
think, man? I'm sorry I asked you the question.
Well, I'm gonna scapegoat this one a little bit. I'm gonna go with Jermaine Burton because
Okay.
honestly, could probably be a first round pick if not he had if not all the red flags with him.
Like smacking a lady or something.
Yeah. Hey, it was a fan and a half. That's like the one I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, you see a fan, they get in your way, you knock their hat off. Oh crap, it's a girl. Yeah,
Right.
you're in trouble. It's not like he went out and was like, hey, lady.
Right. He's just like,
But
hey.
it's not like he Kareem Hunt somebody, so
Yeah. See how that worked out.
but also there's some stuff from like Georgia where like apparently he clashed with the coaching staff, kind of led to him transferring.
Really?
That's probably the more concerning bit. So could lead, like, I think he's probably in the third, could even go early day 3 because of that stuff. But the guy's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. Me and Steve talked about Jermaine Burton, and we said the same thing. Like, but we did find a lot of his. They said he had some off-field issues. We really couldn't dig up a lot. I didn't even know the whole coach thing in Georgia. I couldn't really find much on.
Accidentally came across that. I think it was Dane Brugler mentioned it. So like, I just started going through the Google rabbit hole to see what exactly.
I hear you, man. Sam says Ricky Pearsall is Kadarius Toney. Do you?
No, they just both went to Florida. Dude, Kadarius Toney wasn't a route runner coming out.
No,
Pearsall is.
Pearsall is a beautiful.
Pearsall can catch the football.
Yeah,
like Toney, that was a big concern of his coming out. They just loved what he could do after the catch.
Funny? Toney, like it was a concern, but he went his whole senior year without dropping a ball. Like that was like.
Then he goes to the Senior Bowl though. Goes to the Senior Bowl and put on a Tez Walker or what was it? Tez Walker performance.
Walker. Dude, Tavonte Walker is a very intriguing prospect in a way. Like here, let me bring up. I run them through this thing, and I do like these weird like comps to like different testing and things. And to me, out of 6 categories, Devontae Walker scores elite in 5 out of the 6. Like 4.36 40-yard dash, 1.54, a 40-yard vert. Like it's insanity. A 60% contested catch rate. But again, you said, almost a 7% drop rate. But is 7% really that bad? Rashee Rice was 7% coming out. Actually,
yeah, it's not the end all and all.
Right. You think Devontae Walker gets into, what do you say, round 3?
Yeah, round 3, round 2. It won't surprise me if because I mean he put on good film.
Right.
So I mean, Senior Bowl is just 1 week.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think people get a little crazy. They get a little horned up. They'll look at just the Senior Bowl or just one game of film or just their 40 time. And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, you watch film of Xavier Worthy, you knew he was fast. I didn't watch him and see a 4.21 and then rank him on score, speed twice. Yeah. I can't elevate him twice off the same intangible I already know he has. So it didn't impress me that much, especially since the guy got down to like 112 pounds to do it. But I'll say
he wanted to break it. That's what it was.
He was there too. He wanted to be a track star. He wanted to break that for sure. One little exercise, and I'll let you get out of here, my boy. If you're the Chiefs and you get round 1, round 2, presumably no trade ups, okay, let's just say we go offensive tackle, wide receiver. That seems to be the 2 big ones. Which way would you take them and who would you be looking at? Because I think there's a big drop off. For example, if you take, if you take Ladd McConkey, say you get him at 32, then now maybe you might have a chance to get a Patrick Paul, but I don't even know if you get him at the end of round 2, right? Yeah. So, but you could reach a little bit on a Kingsley or a Patrick Paul at round 1, or maybe you take, I don't know, maybe who knows? I don't know who would be there, but I wouldn't take Jordan Morgan. I was going to say Jordan Morgan, but I just don't take him there. But how would you do it? Like, would you take tackle first? Because I think everybody kind of knows, man, there's going to be a sweet spot on tackles mid-round 1, and then it really does drop.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like really the only option there. I feel like that fault y'all is Kingsley Suamatea. That would be the guy if you want to go round 1. And at that point, I feel like I just would go with the developmental guy in round 2. If you really would, because I was a big Wanya Morris guy coming out last year.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't mind sending him there, and then having the backup option as we kind of develop him, whether it is Patrick Paul, whether it is like Kieran Amagaji, Blake Fisher, like few of those guys that are young that you can
Right.
develop. They have tools. And I would try to get in on the wide receiver class before everyone else does. Which I mean, by that point, I feel like I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it
It's wild,
shakes
huh?
out. It might because it might get just pushed down the board.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's very tough, man, but that's why we all do this mock draft stuff, right? You just kind of you keep doing scenarios. A lot of people take heat. They're like, "Why do y'all keep doing mock drafts? Just let the teams draft." And I'm like, "That's the fun."
well, I mean, that's what they're doing right now. That's what they're
Yeah.
doing
They'll
to
do mock
prepare. They're doing all
drafts.
these mock drafts so that they know, okay, if we really like this guy, we're gonna have to pull the trigger on them a little bit earlier. We're gonna have to find a way to get up here because they never make it to our pick. Like,
Right, and you kind of have to do the exercise like we just did. Like, do you want the better tackle and the wide receiver, or do you think you got to get the wide receiver first, your tackle second? You got to kind of recycle that kind of stuff. Do you think there's any tackles maybe day 3 and beyond that could be like a hit? I know we've reached out to Caden Wallace, who played
yeah,
right tackle at Penn State, and to be honest, I thought some of his film he had better technique than Ole sometimes, but obviously he's not going to be as valued as a prospect.
yeah, not the
But he
athlete.
tests really well too. He tested
Yeah,
great in 5 of my categories, and he had elite size hands, almost 11-inch hands. So if he gets those mitts on you, you ain't
yeah,
going
no,
nowhere.
he's pretty darn good. Also, a guy that could end up playing guard too.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah,
gives you that versatility. I mean, that's kind of this class. Like, I have some guards that I'm like, you know what, I think they could probably play tackle, and then I have some tackles that are probably guards. So,
right.
little,
Yeah, his arms were 34, so about a fourth of an inch shorter than Joe Alt. But I think you're good at what? What do they usually look for? 34-inch. That's about the standard there.
yeah, as long as you're above 33, you kind of want to get past that threshold. Sub
Right.
33, then it's like, hey, you better be like Penny Sewell, Rashawn Slater type of athlete.
Yep. Do you think how much do you think Tavondre Sweat hurt himself with the DWI, man? Where do you think
Oh,
he's
big
falling?
time. Big time.
Do you think he's out of round 1 and round 2?
I think he might be out of round 3.
Wow. Well,
Like,
but he is like if you're looking for that specific type of guy in the middle,
yeah, that's the thing, man.
he
There's no one
does show a lot
360 in
of
this class.
yeah, and the way he can his win rate versus they had him lined up at like a 5-6 technique sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. He actually played less nose than Byron Murphy.
Right?
Wild, dude. Um,
Yeah. The thing is like he came like this whole like draft cycle, he was talking to teams because apparently he was a big partier his freshman, sophomore years. That was
yeah.
kind of the big thing. So he's been on this like, hey, I'm mature now and all that. And then DWI, and it's like, okay, are you? So it's not a good look. So
Right.
it's gonna be tough. But like you said, there's not a lot of guys his size.
Right, man. It's not. Yeah, I think he hurt himself a little bit. Brutal Reynolds. What's up, Brutal? He says, what do you guys think of Kamal Haddon, corner of Tennessee? That was a guy, in my opinion, just didn't play enough football. But I think he allowed, like, what was it, a 7? Was the QB rating allowed when teams threw at him this year? Was a
Yeah,
7
he got
QBR.
hurt. He got hurt. I forgot who he was playing, but he went to go truck some quarterback toward the sideline and ended up like separating or something, like busting his shoulder.
Wow. I,
Yeah.
I mean, I would take a late round flyer on him. I think he could be
Yeah,
somebody
no,
that
he's
the Chiefs
definitely
could
worth.
develop for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's another one that's like he falls victim to a really good corner class. There's a lot of like mid to late day 3 corners. They're like,
Right.
ooh,
Yeah.
he's among them.
And again, I think that's another reason the Chiefs like to take those shots late. I don't know if we're necessarily doing it in round 1. I think like the Ennis Rakestraw, like his numbers his testing hurts you a little bit, believe it or not. TJ Tampa, I'm a big TJ Tampa guy, but
I
the more I
love
watch, I'm
Tampa.
like, maybe he can't do man to man so well. Maybe he belongs in a zone
Oh,
scheme more.
yeah. No, I'm thinking the same. Like, yeah, he's probably
Yeah.
off
Hey,
zone.
I like that. I watch things and then like at least you can validate it for me because sometimes I'm like, dude, am I wild? Like, am I the only person seeing this? But yeah, dude, why didn't last question for sure? Why didn't AD Mitchell get a combine bump in your opinion? Like, cause he was somewhere around that mid first, and if anything, he's fallen. I'm seeing people throwing him out of the first round at this point.
Really?
Dude, big names, if I'm not mistaken. Chad Reuter put him at like 60th pick.
I've seen Reuters drafts.
That was one of the most horrible drafts I've ever witnessed.
I mean, I never, because like once we get to the actual NFL draft,
right,
it's gonna be like, if this
Dude,
was a mock, I would get.
Hey, if Chad Reuter's mock turns out to be like legit, like if you could go in a time machine and see that every pick he made was right, spot on the money, how surprised would you?
Dude, honestly, sometimes the more random, the more insane, the closer it may be.
Yeah,
But like,
Steve says Reuter's a slap nuts. Steve's not even here today. Steve had to go to work, so
hey,
that's why it's just one
slap
of us
nuts.
idiots
I
here.
like that
But
reference.
yeah, he calls him a slap nuts. That Reuter mock was horrible.
Yeah, Mitchell. I feel like Mitchell's safely like a 5th, 6th receiver in this class, though.
Yeah, I think. I don't know who sees. I mean, I do notice like when you're watching him on film. So I think I have him 5. I've got Brian Thomas 4 and 85, and I've got him right above Ladd McConkey, who I've got above Xavier Worthy. I don't love Xavier Worthy in a lot of ways. Other people do. I think he's got some faults.
Yeah, you don't want Xavier Worthy to. You probably want him in a dome, something where there's not a lot of wind, anything that can blow him down.
Yeah,
Maybe turn the AC off in the dome just in case.
For sure, man. He's like, if the wind blows too hard, he's getting moved off his route.
Dude.
But yeah, the AD Mitchell, like when I watch his film, I guess sometimes when the ball's not coming his way, he's kind of lazy. But I seen that with a lot of Texas scouting.
Yeah, he came out and commented on it too, where he was like, yeah, he was saying he wanted to stay on the field the entire drive. So if he knew the ball wasn't coming his way, or if the play wasn't designed his way, he would essentially like go like 50% on those plays so that he could stay on the whole time.
Okay, so he's basically just he's conserving energy.
Yeah. Might not be like the best excuse in the world, but like he was a guy that wanted to play a lot of snaps. He never wanted to come off the field for his team.
Honestly, I think he's one of the only receivers in this class that I believe seriously, besides the top 3, but he's got like that alpha mentality. Like if he can just click, I think he is a guy that can come in and just be like, wow, how the hell did this guy get to pick 32?
He showed it in that Bama game, man. He's good.
Dude, he's got his flashes where he's a monster. But, man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking some draft with me. I know this was a little different because it wasn't a mock or something.
Oh, no, easy breezy. I'm glad we were able to.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm sorry I confused you with all that stuff. I was literally like, what am I talking about?
No, you're good.
But, yeah, man, I appreciate you. Let the people know what you do, where they can find you. A lot of our people love draft content, and I'm sure we've had you on the show a few times. They probably already know and watched the BROSHMO, but, yeah, man, give a shout out.
Hey, if you like draft content, then you would like BROSHMO. I don't just do draft content, but 95% of the time I'm doing draft content. If you want to know more prospects, then really anybody. Like if you want to know, hey, who is this guy my team just drafted in the 7th round? Come to BROSHMO. I'll tell you about him. I go that deep into it. I have a great time with it. It's all about football discourse on my channel. I love going back and forth with the community and the comments there because let's be honest, as a football fan, we're not going to have the same opinions. So let's try to justify these insane opinions.
I hear it, man. Hey, me and Steve we're going to do a mock draft, a 1-round mock probably to put together our final Chiefs one. So we usually try to do a full mock and then just pull the Chiefs players off. I mean, that's the only way to do it. How else are you going to do it? You go look at PFF's drafts board, and you're going to get round 2 guys in round 7. It's insane. And then they'll still give you an F for the grade. It's pretty wild. But when we pull this first round together, I want to send it to you. Maybe you can mock it. Just put it on there and just rip it. I would love to see it. But I know you like to do that with people, the mock. Those are my favorite vids.
Yeah. They're the easiest to make. I just sit down and
they are right.
Tell you what I think.
We've been trying to do some of those style videos lately, and I love doing them because to me it broadens. It's like, man, this guy likes this guy this much. This is falling. This is here and there. Any smoke on JJ? Do you really think he's going number 2?
No, I think he's going probably top 10, but not number 2. I feel like the smoke right now is Jaden Daniels at 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you. I was supposed to ask you this. I totally forgot. Do you think Jaden Daniels was to get past number 2? Do you think the Raiders are in play to go get him?
I honestly think the Raiders are out on
wow,
quarterback in the first round.
Okay.
Like, if you were going to make a move to get a quarterback in this draft, at least in the first round, why are you bringing in Uncle Rico?
Uncle Rico. Because he can throw a football over the mountains, boy.
He can.
That's why.
Best mustache in the business. Like,
Dude.
I could get it if you're gonna second round. Oh, one of those like Bo Nix or Michael Penix falls to you. Okay, that makes sense to me. Why you go get Uncle Rico? You got like Aiden O'Connell's he's a fine backup quarterback. Like, I don't know. It makes no sense for them to go out and get a quarterback based on the Uncle Rico thing, but maybe that's just me.
Who knows? Hey, it's the Raiders. I'm not opposed to any kind of draft blips they have. I prefer them to not make good decisions. That's just the way it is. But, man, I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate everybody for sticking around with us, talking some draft. We know it's a slow time of the year, man. It really is. We're just all ready for the draft process.
It's about to get real slow after.
Yeah, it's about to get really slow. So if you think it's slow now, we're going to watch some paint dry here in May. But appreciate you guys being here. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that sub button if you haven't. We're almost to 27K. Don't know how that happened, but we appreciate it. And thanks again to BROSHMO. You guys get around and follow him. All of his social media, I think he's at BROSHMO, pretty sure.
At the real BROSHMO on Twitter.
Awesome. The real BROSHMO. Go follow him.
Or
appreciate
X.
you guys being here. On X, whatever we want to
Whatever it
it
is.
BROSHMO, you should buy it. Just buy it out.
Oh, yeah. I got like, 50 billion just hanging around?
For sure, man. Hey, how's Gojo before I go?
How's Gojo? He's right now, he's out there just chilling, relaxing.
He was pumped for the 2P. Is he thinking?
Oh, yeah, no, he was so pumped, dude. A stinking dog, man.
You have to let me know if Gojo thinks we're good for 3 in a row, man, because it's a feat to get that 3P.
He's living his best life right now, and I hate it.
He's pumped. You envy Gojo so bad. Man.
He's just got the stupidest little smile all the time, and it's like, I don't know, to be that happy, to wake up every morning with I'm walking on sunshine playing. Like, what a life. What a life it must be. Instead, I'm this stinking Dolphins fan.
Just a Chiefs fan living life lately after so many years of sucking. Like, we deserve this, man. We deserve it. Rashee Rice is trying to kill it for us. We can't let it happen. Don't let the evil win. BROSHMO, appreciate you being here, brother. We'll have to do it again sometime, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
You guys have a good one. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.